Here we are. Now our database should be here. This is SQL test DB. Expand it. This is the tables. Let's see how many tables we have. We have no tables yet. To create a table, we have two ways. The first is to use Microsoft SQL interface. Simply right-click over tables and say a new table. This window will come. Just mention your columns like column 1 and choose the data type. What are the data types here? Like big integer, pet, date, date time, etc. We can choose the data type from here. If it's a text, we can choose, for example, in car, in varchar, etc. And we can simply say that this column can accept null or not using this checkbox. If we need to allow the values null in this column, we just simply keep it checked. If the null values are not allowed, just uncheck it. And again, we can create a new column, column 2. And again, we can simply choose the data type from here and we can say that this is null or not null. Now, we will not create the table from here. We will close this window, no save, and we will come back to our query window. Now we need to create a table. I will use the keyword create followed by the keyword table, and then I have to mention the table name. Let's say my table is, for example, students. I will open the parentheses and I will close the parentheses, and inside the parentheses I have to mention the columns. First of all, for example, let's say we have the student ID, the student ID of type integer. Before going to the second column, we should have a comma. Then go and create the second column. Let's say we need the student name. And the type of student name, let's say, for example, let's save it as Unicode characters like invar of, for example, 100 characters, and then comma and go to the next column, like for example student age, and the student is age of type, for example, integer again. And the fourth column, let's say that is active. Is the student active or not? And this will be 0 or 1, like boolean. So here it is a pet, and that's it. Now go select, or without selecting this, just execute the command. Command completed successfully. Now let's go and refresh our tables. We can see that still there is no table here. What's the problem? If you remember, we said if we have multiple databases in our server and we need to switch between the databases, how we can do that? We can first say use and then the name of the database, use and then SQL test DB semicolon. By this way, we can switch to the SQL test DB. You can do this from Microsoft SQL interface from here. This drop down contains the server databases. See, the selected one is master. This means when we execute this command, this table has been created under the master DB. Now we need to change this into our SQL test DB. This is one way to switch to your database, or you can simply just say use and the name of your database. Now let's go again and execute this command. Command executed successfully. Let's go and refresh. This is our table. If we expand this table, what we will find? The columns. Expand the columns student name, type integer, student name, student ID, student name, student age, and is active. So these are our columns. Now, as we said, the tables are the place where we are going to store the actual data. How we can see the data inside our table? Just simply, the first way, you can right click over your table and just, for example, say select top 1000 rows. This window will come. There is no data in our table. We will close this one.